Jay Quellen. No Jay Quellen here? Balake. Where is Balake at? Ron.
Ron here. Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Well, this week, unfortunately, if there was any question about whether John Travolta was leaving Scientology, distancing himself from Scientology, all variety of these things have been reported in the tabloids. I myself have even speculated that with the passing of John's wife, that perhaps he would gradually distance himself from Scientology. After all, his wife was more of the fervent, committed member than John was, although John's been a true believer for a long time. But anyway, there's been a lot of speculation. We should put all that speculation to rest, because this week John confirmed his commitment and dedication to Scientology, sadly enough. And he did this on his Instagram account with a very short video. Let's just take a look at it.
Hi, I just got to Fort Myers with some food and supplies for those who were affected by the hurricane. And if you want to help, you just contact volunteerflorida.org. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, so, I mean, aside from just being a bummer, there's some questionable things about this post that I think are worth discussing. So let's take a look at this. So he says, we just got to Fort Myers. They are unloading supplies from a private jet to a box truck with all of the insignia for the Scientology volunteer ministers on it. So we could comment about the incredible inefficiency of flying water and food on a private jet down to Fort Myers, but I don't even think that's the most interesting thing here. There is not a Scientology organization within 2 hours of Fort Myers, meaning the closest Scientology organizations are in Tampa, Orlando, and Miami. Those are actually the only major cities in central southern Florida that have any churches of Scientology at all. So that truck had to drive to Fort Myers 2 to 3 hours from either one of those three cities, Tampa, which is also Clearwater, Tampa, Orlando, or Miami. Now, if that sizable box truck was going to be driving to Fort Myers, then why didn't they just load up the truck with supplies and drive the supplies to Fort Myers? That would at least have been an efficient way to do it. Instead, they put the supplies on a private jet, fly the private jet to Fort Myers, drive the empty truck to Fort Myers, transfer the supplies from the jet to the truck, and take those supplies to really God knows where. And I hate to hate on a guy for doing something that is at least in any way helpful at all. And even if this is wildly inefficient, it's at least helpful, I guess. I mean, it's a gesture, unless everything they're doing just sort of complicates and sort of gums up the works of the actual legitimate relief efforts that are already underway. Sometimes that is what happens when the volunteer ministers try to get involved. They get under the feet of the actual volunteers that are there with actual government resources, and they sort of gum up the works. But other than just being cynical about it, John is at least trying to do something helpful here, so I hate to hate on him. But I'm afraid I've got to say that this looks like it's nothing more than a photo op for Scientology's volunteer ministers. It is much more just performative and just being done for the sake of the photo op than it is being done for the sake of the help. Because if Travolta really just wanted to be as helpful as possible here, he could have taken the money that it cost just for the jet fuel alone, and instead of having one box truck there, they could have 10 box trucks completely full of supplies. So I don't think it's just hating on John to point out here and comment on the fact that what's being done here is really more performative than anything else, and it's really being done to push Scientology propaganda. Scientologists are much more interested in looking like they are helping than actually helping. And that is exactly what's going on in this video here. I don't question that John Travolta legitimately wants to be helpful to people, but it's like, if you want to help, why not direct resources to the organizations that are already efficiently helping people? To put out the call and say, I'm going to load up water onto my jet, meet me in Fort Myers with an empty truck. It just doesn't even make any sense. I did think it was interesting that at the end of his video, he instructs people who want to help to contact volunteerflorida.org. Now, I looked that up. It seems to be a legitimate organization that doesn't seem to have any connections to Scientology that I can tell just on a superficial search here. And yet what he's suggesting that others do in order to provide real help is not what he himself did. Now, yes, it would be incredibly cheesy for John to actually recommend that people contact a Scientology organization to provide help. But if John actually believed that that was the most efficient way to provide help, it might be cheesy, but I think it would be the advice he would give if he thought it was the best advice to give. And if John genuinely believes that going to volunteerflorida.org and using that resource to find out what the best way to volunteer is. If he believes that's the best way to provide help, well, why didn't he do that himself? Now, I looked through this website. It looks like it might be a clearinghouse for a number of volunteer organizations. And I looked for the Scientology volunteer ministers to see if they were listed as one of the resources on this website. And they are, in fact, not listed. At least I could not find them. If anyone else is able to find Scientology or their various organizations through this website, let me know in the comments down below and I will pin it to the top. But I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. Do you see it? Is it a feather in John's cap that he's recommending people use a resource that isn't associated with Scientology? Or does it sort of highlight his hypocrisy that he chose to do what was essentially just a photo op Scientology propaganda piece here, just looking like he's helping, instead of actually taking his own advice and use this website to find out which organizations and which services would actually be the most helpful and do that? Let me know down below. Is it a feather in his cap that he's promoting a non-Scientology resource, or does it just highlight the hypocrisy of the Instagram video to begin with? I imagine it's a little bit of both, but let me know what you guys think. So other than any hypocrisy going on here, as far as any of our hopes that John Travolta would be leaving Scientology and starting a chapter of his life where he can just live and be true to himself, we're going to have to wait for another day. In the meantime, if you'd like to support an organization that does actually help people and is making a difference, please check out the Aftermath Foundation. We help people who are leaving Scientology. Every single week we're helping people who are leaving Scientology, escaping from Scientology. In many cases, we're helping people restart their lives from scratch, and we've been wildly successful doing so. If you'd like to support the foundation through buying merch, you can get one of these adorable little fellas. There's Mike Rinder bobbleheads. We just ordered 500 more of these. That's why I'm plugging them in the videos, because they don't do us any good sitting on shelves. We also have these super shiny, fancy SP bracelets. Guarantees that you are a 100% certified fresh suppressive person. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you to those of you who watched until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe.